Eumaeus in Homer's Odyssey is a humble pig farmer, but he can maybe help us understand the meaning of life. In Book 14 of Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus returns to Ithaca. He's been gone for almost 20 years. He spent 10 years fighting the Trojan War and then another 9 or 10 trying to get back home. He fought Cyclopses. He eluded the Sirens. He escaped from Circe's island after his men were transformed into pigs. Or pigs. That's interesting. But in the latter part of this poem, Odysseus returns home to Ithaca, but he arrives in disguise. Now, this is sort of Odysseus's typical move, right? He feels most comfortable when he's lying. Why is he in disguise here? Well, he doesn't really know what's waiting for him in Ithaca. He doesn't know for sure that Penelope will be happy to see him, that Telemachus will want to see him. Remember, he's been gone for the better part of 20 years. He's left behind a wife and a kingdom. Has she remarried? His house is full of drunken, violent suitors. And remember, Odysseus heard a story in the underworld from his colleague Agamemnon. Agamemnon returned home from war and things did not go so well for him. Agamemnon was murdered by his own wife Clytemnestra and her new lover Aegisthus. Now Odysseus' wife is waiting for him patiently. Penelope is a better partner than Clytemnestra. A better partner than Odysseus too, in fact. But Penelope is oppressed, surrounded, and hounded by a house full of suitors who are like a biker gang that won't leave the house. They sit around all day drinking and eating like pigs, actually. So disguised as an old man, Odysseus approaches his house, and the first person he sees is Eumaeus, this loyal swineherd. A few things are noteworthy about Eumaeus right from the start. He's extraordinarily hospitable. Even though he does not have much, he's willing to share what he has. Another thing of note, he's repeatedly addressed as you, Eumaeus. This is highly atypical in the poem and singles Eumaeus out as an extraordinary character. So we get this sense, I would contend, that this swineherd is significant. And he may be an image for Odysseus of what a just and virtuous life looks like. Maybe Eumaeus represents some aspect of human life that Odysseus has overlooked. When Telemachus enters the scene, for example, Eumaeus and Telemachus greet each other like father and son. Just as a father, when he sees his own dear son, his only son, his dear, most precious boy, returned from foreign lands after 10 years of grieving for his loss, welcomes him, so the swineherd wrapped his arms around godlike Telemachus and kissed him, as if he were returning from the dead. This suggests, I think, that there's some connection between Eumaeus and Odysseus, that Eumaeus may be some kind of mirror image of what Odysseus is. Reinforcing this connection, Eumaeus, like Odysseus, has endured extraordinary suffering. The story of Eumaeus. Eumaeus tells us that when he was a small boy, he was raised in part, or at least cared for, by this young woman, a Phoenician. Now, she herself was taken into slavery by pirates, but when some Phoenician pirates arrive in Eumaeus' country, they offer to take her back to Phoenicia. Seems like a good deal, except she sweetens the offer by saying, "Let me bring the young prince with me." She plans to sell the child Eumaeus into slavery. Worst babysitter ever. And this is how this unfolds. She takes Eumaeus with her. They get on a boat and sail away. But then the goddess Artemis punishes this girl, this kidnapper, striking her dead on the spot. But Eumaeus is still a prisoner. And he is sold into slavery. Sold, in fact, to Laertes, Odysseus' father. Eumaeus then has had a difficult life, and he has been cheated. Maybe there is something to Eumaeus' patient endurance of suffering that is supposed to be a model for Odysseus. And significantly, Eumaeus is a shepherd, and Odysseus has had run-ins with shepherds before, most notably Polyphemus, the Cyclops. But Eumaeus is the good shepherd, and the image we get from him is of a person who manages his flock well, of a person... Wait. I'm still thinking about Eumaeus. I gotta figure this out. Okay, how's that? So I made this video, but I wasn't really happy with it. I don't think I had it figured out. With these books, you're always thinking and rethinking. But now I think I understand it better, and particularly the thing about the pigs. I keep thinking about this connection between Eumaeus and Odysseus. And it's useful to ask, what is a good swineherd? And maybe like, what is a good shepherd generally, but what is a good swineherd in particular? So the swineherd manages pigs, right? You have mastery over pigs. And then think of Odysseus and all the trouble he's been in when he can't control appetites, can't control the appetites of his crew on places like Circe's island or with the lotus eaters, or he can't prevent his crew from eating the sacred cattle. They behave like pigs, and he can't control them. And when we think of Odysseus's own appetites, he struggles in Polyphemus's cave, struggles with Circe, struggles especially on Calypso's island. He's there for a long time. So it seems clear that the good swineherd, this person with expertise in managing the piggish part of nature, is exactly what Odysseus is not. Odysseus is bad at managing appetites. He needs to improve there. And I think Eumaeus, who is characteristically hospitable with what little he has to give, seems to understand the nature of the fragile nature of human beings, of the belly, and managing the human body. That seems to be his expertise. Maybe that is the expertise that Odysseus lacks. That seems right. Okay, back to me. Now, Eumaeus may not be the whole picture of the good life. Significantly, he lacks family, and I think he also lacks glory. And that seems to be an essential part of Odysseus's puzzle. Now, if you want to watch more videos about the Odyssey, you can find some of those over here. My name is Dr. Moore. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.